In this video, I'm going to talk all about my experience with the substance 2CB, which is something I've just tried, let's just say fairly recently. So this video is going to be kind of a mashup of a trip report, a review of the substance itself, and also my kind of thoughts on synthetic substances like this versus sort of plant medicines, which I talk about more on this channel. So let's talk about 2CB. So 2CB is a sort of psychedelic substance, and I was really interested to try this, primarily because I grew up in England, in the north of England, in the 1990s when rave culture was really taking off, and the sort of substance of choice then was MDMA, ecstasy. I really credit MDMA as being one of those things that completely changed me as a person. I was quite shy and introverted as a kid, and then suddenly you have this kind of, this huge serotonin dump which just makes you feel, you can just express anything in a very sincere way. And yeah, it was life-changing for me. As a bit of a history lesson, the person who made MDMA kind of popular or more well-known was a scientist called Alexander Shulgin. And he synthesized all these different compounds and would test them on himself and then sort of give each one a rating and talk about what its effects and what its benefits might be. And Alexander Shulgin kind of famously said that out of all the substances he'd ever tried, his favourite was 2CB. So to cut a long story short, we've got a hold of some. Myself and my wife, we tried it, and that's what I'm going to talk about now. In terms of dosages, I had 25 milligrams and Rachel had about 10 milligrams. We're currently 2 hours into a 2CB trip, and Rachel's completely off her tits. But what do you think of 2CB, Rachel?
I think it's jolly spiffing fun.
On a scale of 1 to 10, how woke, how enlightened are you right now? we're doing this so you don't have to. This is our sacrifice. What did you think of 2CB?
Well, as I think I might have said on the video, something along the lines of it was jolly spiffing and splendid. I really liked it. I think as a recreational drug, it was the most recreational drug I've ever tried. I'd say more so than MDMA, even though I enjoy MDMA a lot more, just because it lacked a certain depth, I would say. It was very strong for me.
So the 2CB lacked a certain depth compared to MDMA?
Yes.
And that made it more fun?
It just made it more throwaway. It was just letting my hair down, I thought. And that particular week that I tried it, that's exactly what I needed. So, you could say perhaps it would be different next time and it gives you what you need or something like that. But what I needed was not some spiritual work that week anyway. And I just got to let my hair down and I just laughed for 5 hours straight. Went to bed with ribs were hurting. I was still high when I went to bed, but I just couldn't stay up because I was in so much pain from laughter. So it was a blast. Yeah, it was a lot of fun.
Yeah, so I think the kind of phrase it didn't have that kind of universe to it. It wasn't. So although we were there in the same room and we were going through this experience at the same time, I didn't feel like we were going through this experience together. Like it wasn't this kind of shared headspace. It was
we weren't
bonded.
Melded together with each other and together with the drug. We had a fun time together and we're on the same wavelength. Like we were like the banter was on the same lines, wasn't it? But it wasn't like a fusion of the drug and the people that were on it. It was just being high. It was just like having a few drinks.
Yeah. I would agree. And then I would say pretty much mirror everything there. For me, this was a super recreational experience. It reminded me very much of being a kid when you first try something like LSD and you sort of having giggles with your friends and it's just, and you don't really see, at that point you don't necessarily see the kind of psychedelic potential on the other side of the wall. You just, I guess because the doses are quite low or whatever, so it's very giggly and sort of recreational.
I would also like to make the comparison between LSD and 2CB, because for me, I need very low dosages of psychedelics. And I took a low dosage of the 2CB, and just like you say, back in the day, we took low dosages of LSD. And I found that with LSD, at the time I was using it, I was in my teens, I just wanted to have a laugh with my friends. I wasn't ready to be hit with this whole spirituality thing at all. And sometimes it did, and I just wasn't prepared, and I was in a terrible setting for it, and I'm looking back, I think I should have tried 2CB instead. I think it was a lot more easy to just take and not have to concentrate on staying out of that hole, you know.
How people describe it as this combination of MDMA and something like LSD or psilocybin.
It's nothing like MDMA.
Yeah, and I would say you can see the parallels there, but it's not like MDMA and psilocybin and all the good bits. It's more like these two diluted together into something in the middle.
I think, I read so many comments expecting it to be like MDMA, so many comparisons. And after I'd done it, I thought, the people that are writing this either haven't done enough MDMA or they haven't tried mescaline, because it's far closer to mescaline.
Yeah, I would agree.
Far closer. And, when you take mescaline, you think, oh, this is a bit like MDMA, but trippy. And they're all, you can see the similarities, but it's definitely closer to that. It's not very close to MDMA at all, in my opinion. And body load. Yeah,
I think I was going to mention the kind of the nauseary sort of, and the time as well it took to come up was very closer to mescaline in terms it was a long...
I mean, I would want to speak about the body load because it's the complete opposite to MDMA. I mean, when you take a good dose of MDMA, you don't feel any pain, you don't feel your body at all, you're kind of melted into the music or whatever, into the love. With this, I was like hyper aware of my body, just like on mescaline. I found I had a bit of a stomach ache. I was really aware of all the contours of my body. My clothing was bugging me a bit. It didn't kill the vibe. It wasn't like super annoying, but I was very firmly inside my body, and that really doesn't happen on MDMA or on the other psychedelics that I've tried.
Yeah, I was the same. I've found it very difficult to just sort of be lost in the experience. I was always like very much in the room. I was yeah, it just didn't really sort of carry me away like those other things. I said, didn't give me this kind of feeling of its own universe. And again, I think maybe some of that is my own expectations, but I was definitely not impressed with it. I enjoyed the experience for what it was, but I wasn't like, wow, this is
my new favourite.
Yeah, this is the thing.
Yeah.
I would possibly do it again. I think it would be more useful in like a recreational thing.
Yeah.
But in terms of if it was like sharing an experience with you or sharing an experience with my friends, there's just nothing there to share. It's just getting high. It's like doing poppers or something. It's just you laugh and it's silly, and the laughs were awesome. Like we had some really good times, and I'll splice in some clips of some of our bullshit.
It was a lot of fun.
Yeah.
Definitely.
But yeah.
I definitely liked it, but it just wasn't what I expected.
Yeah, but if I wanted that loved up, euphoric feeling, I'd just do MDMA. And if I wanted that psychedelic exploration, then I'd go for psilocybin or ayahuasca or something like that. I'm glad to have done the experience, but there's not a whole lot there to recommend. Just other things do it better. I think again, if you're wanting those visuals, you're wanting those landscapes and those headspaces, go for the traditional psychedelics. If you're wanting the sort of the sort of pure loved upness, go for MDMA. This is just too diluted in the middle somewhere of all of that to have enough character. It didn't have its own character. I think that was the thing.
Yeah, it was like San Pedro with all the spirituality taken out. It's like same visuals, same sort of body feeling, same energy and stuff like that.
I think we were both a little bit bored of it by the end. It wasn't.
We did say that, didn't we? I think I've explored. This is really fun, but I've explored all the corners and I've had enough fun going to bed. Yeah,
it was just that there was. It wasn't like when you're sort of coming down off MDMA and you kind of like you're just wanting to claw every last bit of that experience and just feel all that sort of awesomeness. Or even when you're coming out of a psychedelic experience and it's like, oh wow, that was awesome. I just want to hold on to these memories of these things that were revealed to me. And this was just like, yeah, I'm done. I'm done with this. Let's go to bed. Yeah, I don't want to give the impression it was a negative experience. It definitely wasn't. It was a positive experience. It was just given that sort of ability to pick and choose experiences is limited. You know, these are sort of, you know, moments that we are invested in. I would not invest in this. Set and setting is not as important with this.
Yeah,
I think.
that's true. I could have done this outside.
Yeah. I could have definitely done this at a music festival or at a nightclub or something like that. And yeah, there's just nothing there which I think could have upset me or set me off, because it's just not psychedelic enough.
Freaked me out.
Yeah.
Yeah.
So in that, for that purpose, yeah, sure. If you want to get high at a festival, probably this is better than something like magic mushrooms, definitely.
Yes.
But in terms of, yeah, healing or spirituality or being a psychonaut and exploration, nah, there's nothing. There's just no depth here at all, I don't think. Although I've talked a lot about, you know, what's called plant medicines on this channel, I talk a lot about sort of mushrooms or ayahuasca. I'm certainly not of this camp where, like, I think that plant medicines are the best and everything else is kind of like, you know, unnatural garbage. You know, I also talk a lot about DMT. I did a lot of LSD when in my sort of younger days. Certainly done a lot of MDMA, and I rate all these other substances highly. It's just that at the moment I'm currently sort of focusing more on the plant medicines. I'd say more because that's where the sort of the psychedelics are, and that's the experiences that I'm really interested in at the moment. But still, you know, DMT I wouldn't class as a plant medicine in the sort of in the vaporized form, certainly in the ayahuasca form, but not the vaporized form. So to kind of wrap up all my thoughts on 2CB, I'm glad I tried it. I think it was very overhyped. I fail to see why Alexander Shulgin thought this was like the best compound ever. I'd try it again, but I'm not going to be going to my way to do so. And yeah, I think in terms of how it sort of fits into the, you know, the pantheon of other substances, for me, it's not as interesting as sort of as MDMA, and certainly not as interesting as traditional psychedelics. So yeah, I would put it into sort of one corner somewhere. Maybe I'll revisit it at some point. But yeah, it's not my top priority, I'll put it that way.